Welcome to Create Obsession. My name is Peyton Lake and I'm going to show you how to turn a bunch of yarn into a beautiful, cozy blanket. Everything that you'll need can be found right here, from the yarn type to the weight, hook size, the one that I personally used. You will need 6 skeins of yarn in one color and 3 in a different color. And yes, I got it all at Walmart. First off, if you're new to crochet, you'll want to start by creating a loop for your hook to go through. You'll do this by wrapping it around your finger twice, pulling the back to the front once, and twice all the way through over your finger, which creates the magic loop. Not the actual magic loop. There is one, but this isn't it. When you're ready, insert the hook into the loop that you created and set your fingers up. I usually wrap it around my fingers like you see and hold on to the yarn tail with 2 of my fingers and then yarn over and pull through the loop. This is called a chain stitch and it's the first stitch that you'll learn in crochet. The pattern that we're doing today calls for 36 chain stitches. So once you get 36, it will look something like this. I recommend flipping it over to the side that you can perfectly count the stitches and not get confused. Once you've counted 36, you'll see you'll want to skip the first stitch and go into the second. So you'll insert it and be sure to hold on with good tension, yarn over, pull through the chain stitch, and yarn over and pull through 2. This stitch is called a single crochet. This stitch is called a single crochet stitch. And it can kind of get confusing, so however it's best for you to count your stitches, just kind of flip it back and forth to see what works for you. If you have any confusion, I just recommend writing down how many chain stitches you made, single crocheting across all of them, and then you can go back and count your stitches later to see how well you were at hitting that specific number. Since we do skip the first chain stitch, it is worth mentioning that we will only have 35 single crochet. So again, insert in, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, insert the hook into the chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. And you have done a single crochet. So you'll just keep doing this. This is the entire stitch throughout the blanket. Once you get to the end of your first single crochet row, you will want to insert it into the chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And before you turn, you'll want to add 1 chain stitch. This helps turn your work and prevents it from rounding off. It is part of the single crochet stitch. And now you are done with your first row. So you'll just turn and do the same thing that you were doing previously. And like I said, this is the entire stitch throughout the whole blanket. You will want to create 7 single crochet rows for the first color. And you can see here, I'm just showing you where you'll insert your hook. It should be pretty self-explanatory. Do insert it into both of them. You don't want to skip one of those yarn pieces because if you do, you'll give yourself a ribbed blanket, which is a different kind of stitch. When you come to the end of this first single crochet row that you're turning back on and every single other going forward, I recommend looping in this outer piece of yarn that's kind of hanging out there and putting it into your last single crochet. I think it just really helps finish out the edges. If you run into having to swap yarn out, I think the easiest way with the same color is just to double knot it and tighten it that way. You can trim it if you need to, but I didn't with this one. Once you're ready to swap over, this is after you're done with the 7 single crochet rows that you did in the beginning, you will, before you create this single chain stitch when you're turning, just pull the hook out of that loop and insert the new color into it. And then you can use that new color to create your first chain stitch on the turn, as I'm doing right here. So the pattern doesn't change when the color does. It's still insert the hook, yarn over, pull up loop, pull yarn over and pull through 2. Here is a diagram of the crochet pattern that we are crocheting. In the beginning are those little chain stitches in the shape of an O, and you did 35. The 36 led into the first row of the single crochet. You will do 7 rows on top of that chain stitch as counting as your first, so altogether 8 rows of the red, and then you'll do 4 rows of single crochet for the tan. And then you'll go to 8 more rows of red, and again 4 single crochet rows of tan, and to finish it off for the center you'll do 8 more rows of red. And you'll see it'll take 2 skeins of yarn for the red sections, 1 skein of yarn for the tan sections. When you come to the end and you're ready to tie everything off, you can double knot these. You can't even tell that you're double knotting them with the different colors. And then just weave them in. However, it doesn't really matter as long as you hide them. With these fuzzy blankets, you can't tell. So I just weave it in, however, it won't pop back out again. I do recommend after you're done weaving it in, you will probably want to shift the blanket around and kind of pull at it to see if that is going to pop back up, because sometimes they do, and it's just better if you test it first, and then if it doesn't pop back up, you are good to go, and if it does, you can just rehide it, no big deal. And you'll do that for every single one. Once you're done and you're ready for the border, I'm showing you where you kind of want to insert it. It's just all along the edges where every single row that you turned at. So I usually start my borders on a corner, and that's a lot easier to keep track of. For this one, I did the exact same way that I did previously, which is doubling it up, and I created the loop similar to the same way that I did in the beginning. When you've got it set up, do 1 chain stitch before you start single crocheting around the border. This counts as a stitch, so you can move on to your next one. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, 1 single crochet down. And just showing you where I go into this, I have 2 pieces of yarn that I'm typically looking for. There is most of the times going to be a third that hangs out under that, and I like to separate it out. I do not like to pick it up because I think it adds more, it will create more holes if you include it. So I usually leave it out, single crochet around it, and keep going. Every corner that you're doing for this border, you'll want to single crochet into it 3 times. The reason for this is you just want your edges to be squared off, so it helps make a nice, happy little corner when you do that. When you get back around to where you started, you'll want to single crochet into the corner twice because we only did once. And just so you know, you do not have to keep the stitch if you don't like it. This one I pulled out was too loose and I wanted to make it a little bit tighter. I do this a lot whenever I'm crocheting. If I don't feel like I have a good stitch, I'll pull it out and start again. Now that I'm done doing the 2 stitches to get back to 3 on the corner, I'm going to cut off my yarn and hook it all together to finish the border. I usually pull it through to help keep the yarn from unraveling, and then I will weave it in a circle around the previous chain stitch that I created and the existing stitch that I just made. And then I push it back around to the front. You can loosen it up or adjust it as you need. And I just double tied it. I almost cut it off, and then I decided that if for any reason this were to become unraveled, it would be really difficult to try and fix it without these tails on the end. So instead of cutting it off, I decided to weave it in just so I wouldn't have to ever fix it in the future if that became an issue. Here is the quick diagram of the border. Just be sure when you're going around the border to include those extra 2 stitches. So on every single corner, you should have 3 stitches. Bye guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to click the subscribe button below if you want to see more like this, and hope to see you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.